Recording is hello everyone. Today we have November 17th and this is etcd community meeting. We have two topics on agenda. If you want to add more, feel free to do so. But starting with the first topic from Shirman, if you want to ask the question, give context so we can better understand if you're here, of course. Is the person that asked the question on the call?
Sorry, who asked the first question?
So the first question is, so this is the first topic. We usually go from up to down based on like the first FIFO order. If usually it's good for the person that asked it to give more context so we can discuss it. I'm not sure, like, okay. Yeah, if you're not, like, if they're not here, we can skip it. From my point of view, I'm not sure how I understand the question because usually etcd client doesn't elect a leader. I'm not sure about if this is a question about elects clients or client election library, or is it something other? Best to go through the code. So the second going to the second topic. Anshu, are you here?
Yep. So I'm representing, well, I'm here with a few of my Stripe coworkers because we use etcd in some of our projects. The discussion at hand at a high level is we noticed that the client has some baked-in configuration for retries and back off with no way to configure it. So we just wanted to talk a little bit about, are there plans on changing these configurations and some of your experience with what configuration options are the most successful and any risk if we did change these.
Is there anyone who can give their production experience?
I think we looked into this a little bit. Are you having any issues related to this, or is this more just like it's nice to have an exponential backoff?
Yeah, we are still building out a lot of our stuff, so we haven't noticed any issues yet, but the default of 100 retries seemed a little bit frightening to us. We also noticed a few cases where certain errors are being retried improperly. I think we're using learners and like that returns an error from an RPC interceptor because learners can't respond to RPC requests, but then that's like getting retried 100 times. That was when it first came up, at least.
And I would just clarify, we have seen like not a prod issue. We're not like running widely in prod yet, but we turned on rate limiting, like Envoy rate limiting, which returned a service unavailable exception when a client went over their rate limit. And then we saw this explosion in requests. And so, yeah, it wasn't a major issue because we weren't in prod, but we have seen this like be bad. Yeah.
Yeah, anyone else?
Yeah, I think I'll look at the issue that you commented. I don't remember on top of my head like all the things that we run into, but I think in my opinion it will be nice to have, but maybe not critical.
Yeah, my only context is that I think I reviewed or like seen, yeah, I reviewed that someone proposed to adding the backoff in retry. But this is for watch stream, so it's not. I think it was proposed at least. Yeah, this is for watch stream, so I cannot say. I mean, that if there is an issue with client library, like clients are backward compatible, if you want to propose something, like based on what you're describing, I expect there's a lot of things that we could fix in the client library. I'm just not having, I don't have enough context on the client library. I think it's not as developed as server, or like most maintainers work mostly in server. So if you would be willing to improve the propose and show results of improving the backoff here, or the retries, that should, by implementing some kind of backoff, that should, I expect this will be pretty appreciated.
Is there anyone that we should chat to just to make sure that we don't develop in the wrong direction? Like, I thought I saw something on an issue about like, oh, maybe we can expose like gRPC retry, like the standard gRPC retry functionality or something like that. Like, who should we talk to just to make sure we don't propose the wrong thing?
I think if you just look at outline, what you're trying to do, like a small document, and then I'll be happy to look into. I mean, we kind of looked at this a little bit, but also didn't have bandwidth, I think, to do this. So if you start, in my opinion, if you start with a small outline, I know what you think, Mark, but some kind of a document that we can comment and then we can expand.
I mean, if you, I mean, assuming that this is not over like complicated, it's not about, it's just an API design, mostly. If you want to expose gRPC, it's not, I know, change of architecture. I think like if you propose something issue, that should be enough. Like, but usually it's good to have at least two couple, like you mentioned, you have one solution with exposing gRPC, you could improve the default behavior. So having a couple of like different alternatives and proposing what is your preferred option and going deeper into that, maybe it should be good enough. Currently, I don't think we have like experts in the client. We mostly work on servers, so we would appreciate like if you bring any improvements, we should appreciate it. And as long as the API makes sense and we don't break the backward compatibility, it should be good.
Cool. All right. And it sounded like nobody on the call knew like whether that 100 retries was chosen for a specific reason or whether there would be downsides to disabling it.
So, small context. I'm like best to, I usually go through Git-Blame, but this is like 5 years old.
Yeah.
You could ping the people that authored it or like go into back in history, but it's digging, like this is archaeology level of digging in. Like, I don't know if the authors will even tell you how they picked it, because if you don't find an issue, like going through the commits and finding the related, going through commit to issue, finding issue and maybe there's discussion, but yeah.
So I work with Joe Betts a bit on other Kubernetes related work, and I know he's still involved in the API machinery space, and I can't speak about etcd specifically, but I'm happy to reach out to him and ask him about it. Get more details.
Yeah, I'm willing to bet that it was arbitrary. Like, what's a good number? How about 100? But I mean, that said, we've tweaked retry logic all over Kubernetes over the last like 3 years. And I don't know that we've ever considered touching the etcd client. So 100 seems to work pretty well, at least for one use case.
Yeah, this is, so depending on your architecture, if it's similar enough to Kubernetes, you could use it, or you can check it. Like, my main expectation, if something works for Kubernetes and you don't differ enough, I would check what Kubernetes does. I haven't looked at the clients directly what is injected, the configuration that is injected for the client, but I expect it should be good enough.
Okay, cool, thanks. I'll follow up with you, Andrew, and take a look at the Kubernetes source.
Okay. Has the okay? We are out of issues. If anyone to propose another topic, we can do that. Or in the meantime, is the Shriman? Maybe they managed to get in, so we could discuss. But I don't see him. So yeah, if there is any other topic, we could go through it. Yeah.
Right, I've had one you just commented on it, so I might just so I added also more explanations. So this is just optional basically, but I noticed that sometimes, and we do this as well. So folks will run bbold stats if there are some sort of size difference or doing investigations, and I kind of wanted to expose more of what bbold stats does through metrics. The problem is that it actually goes through buckets and aggregates them, so the logic is maybe a little bit too much to put into the etcd. But I noticed that some of these stats that are available just in a struct in the bbold are not exposed. Yeah, they're kind of very low level, so I get why they were not maybe included. But I think some of them actually just complete already existing stats, or like, for example, for free list, there's an option to configure the free list type, but no stats about the actual usage. So I felt like that maybe that will be okay to expose. And there's the split spill and writes. There's already basically metric that exposes the time, but the count is not exposed, so just complementary. Anyway, this is just optional, but yeah, so we don't have to do it. But I think this will add 10 more metrics. So, and they can go into the Etsy debugging space, so that hopefully won't confuse anybody.
Yeah, but based on like, I'm just want to make sure that we don't throw too much things. But based on fact that we have etcd debugging namespace, which is I think disabled by default. I think you need to enable it with debug metrics. But correct me if I'm wrong.
I need to check that.
Yeah. So yeah, the debug metrics, I don't think they're. Okay, I've seen some case that you need to someone needed to enable them. But yeah, if they're not enabled by default because they're more debugging metrics and it's not clear what your and we can this way. I know if we don't. So the main thing with metrics is avoiding the cardinality issue. So basically, overwhelming client. I would not. I know if we are just doing too much things and or exposing too much metrics, it could be too costly, or but if we use if there is a way to limit them, and and we have, at least give a thought to what makes sense, I think it should be good. I would want to have
So I think if you take a look at my comment, as I said, so there's ones that just complementary to already exposed ones. So I think those probably should be there. And the free list, this 4 ones, I don't know, we don't have to do them. But at the same time, if there is an option already exposed, at least maybe, I can pick 2 most important ones here, just for people to have some ability to see how the free list is behaving. Yeah, so we'll total maybe add let's say 6 metrics, and so I don't think I can drop maybe another
Yeah, I think it makes sense.
Just again, this is optional, but I think every time I need to look at the bbolt, I feel like it's not enough, and then you have to basically copy the file, and then you or run the stats, or you like write some little custom code to look at the stats. And yeah, it's kind of like it happens rarely, very rarely. So yeah, that's all.
Okay. Any other topics?
Just a brief announcement. Paris Pittman and I are going to be working on putting together, more programs for recruiting contributors to etcd before the end of the year. Just look for announcements and requests for help on the mailing list and in the Slack channel.
Great to hear that.
So is this like a formal kind of procedure for someone to become maintainer, or like is it just for like, oh, we need help on
Oh,
these things?
This is etcd. We have no formal procedures. If you're interested in becoming a maintainer, let's talk.
Yeah, so we're interested, but I think what we're gonna do, we're gonna focus a little bit more on the contributions this next quarter. So what we're doing, we're gonna put the all the help wanted items into we're gonna track them internally and try to pick off sins that are not kind of not taken at the moment or like abandoned. So that's kind of our plan right now, to start going through the list of help wanted. There are some of the flakes are kind of flaky tests. Some of them are difficult to help with because they can be super time consuming, but lead to no result. So that's the only area that is kind of I'm a little bit hesitant to touch, but I know it's kind of important to get through some of the flakes.
Yeah, I think this is one of the issues that I touch. I expect now we'll have some more flags because we are making the test more strict, but that should adblock our further going much deeper. If you are looking for thing, I recently or for contribute where to contribute, I recently wrote the guides for contribute or updated. We rewrote whole contributor guidelines, and yeah, if you're looking for something to work, there's
yeah, I think that it would be nice to have a way to, let's say, if a person worked on the issue but it didn't result in a PR, and maybe they just posted like an update. I feel let's say even like somebody asked the question and then you try to reproduce the problem, but it didn't really result in the PR. So I feel those kind of maybe they are not, I guess, as how should I put it? They're not helping. You're not increasing like your PR count if you go that route, basically, and maybe that's okay. But there's just one thing I want to point out, that sometimes, especially with debugging flakes, I think that's kind of that basically you can do work, but then it will just not produce the result, and I guess then you're a little bit discouraged. So I don't know if there's a way to maybe just if just post the results of the investigation or something like that. No.
Yeah. I mean, I'll say proving that something can't work is actually useful.
Yeah. So for me, the hardest thing with flakes is, you need to get a first reproduction, and it's pretty hard for, I know, people that are not advanced to try to simulate flakes like they're in CI, because CI is much more limited in performance, and there are different, it causes different race conditions, or you can get race condition in CI, then you cannot reproduce locally. So it's hard. The main thing is that I haven't seen people like even volunteering for fixing flakes. So I would start with that and asking for help. I mean, maybe we could put more that to that it's good to ask for help. Yeah, and as Josh said, that writing down that what you did, like even if you failed, writing that, oh, you took this test and you run it 100 times and never reproduce locally. This is already an information, because this means that it's not a problem with tests. It could be a problem with races between tests, or this is a race condition. This already makes it totally. I mean, it makes a first step that we can guide. Like, it allows us to guide. If you don't tell us what you are, what knowledge, where you are, we cannot guide you to the solution. If that makes sense.
Yep.
Just, yeah. Maybe for me, most important things that for me is the important label. Still, I think it's hard to get people there, or to advance more than to get people working on not only like flakes but also on more important efforts. But I would be willing to help if anyone who wants to. Yeah, the only thing I noticed that the link is broken, because so
Yeah.
I will.
I mean, plus the role contribution is everybody starts somewhere. And there's a lot of ways to contribute, even for rank beginners, that are helpful. For example, issue triage, right? If you just know how to use etcd, you can do issue triage. And that prevents, say,
Yeah.
Marek from having to do issue triage.
It's super, yeah, it's super hard. Like, one thing is, unfortunately, there is not a lot of people reviewing PRs. I think only maintainers are reviewing PRs or issues. That's why we moved most questions to help, because or to the discussion board, because no one like before we created the discussion board, no one answered even questions that were like trivial level user questions. So yeah, if maybe we should put that, if we like, that's maybe a good feedback, but that we should ask people to review PRs, because yeah, you need to start somewhere to learn the code, and that would already help us to scale. Yeah. Okay. Any other topics that?
In terms of the this new contributions, I was wondering if you know, if you can assign certain things to certain people, or is it too much to kind of you know, is it going too far?
No, it's the moment. So this is maybe biased. If you look at the issues that are assigned, the moment that someone asks to be assigned, you will get assigned. We don't have bots, or like the way that Kubernetes has the bots. So all the GitHub label assigning needs to be done by maintainers. That's something other topic. But people are not even volunteering to do an issue. So like what you are hearing, what I'm hearing for you, that we cannot assign you if you even didn't ask if you want to work on it. So yeah, we are. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, actually, in what happens for me is that, like, if I sometimes ask to get an issue assigned, but then let's say if I'm sort of, you know, maybe it's all but you know, too much. I'm actually okay with looking at something else in parallel. But then I also feel like, okay, you know, I need to finish what I already got assigned. So, but there might be a certain like one-offs that. So maybe it's just on me. Maybe I'll just try to. I mean, I guess the question is the following: is it okay to get assigned like a couple issues, and then maybe, like, you know, if I don't get one done, then it can be reassigned eventually. Let's say, you know, or would you rather prefer to kind of you know,
I mean,
issue until you're done with it?
I mean, until you don't generate more toil, then I think it shouldn't be a problem. It's just as long as you are really planning to work on it, not doesn't matter like the order. If you're just willing to do it, it will just take you more time because I know it's something more important. It's common that I take an issue, say that I will work on it, but something else come in and it takes some time. So I think it's okay. The only case that would cause a problem if there are like more people willing to do and you're taking bigger part of the job, but that's not the state we are.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the rule I operate with is if you're not going to get to something in the next couple of weeks, then unassign yourself. You know, and even put a comment saying, "Hey, I can't work on this right now. If it's still open in a couple of weeks, I'll pick it up." And that way you're giving an opportunity for somebody else to jump on it.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, yeah, just being cautious to give, yeah, letting us know that you will not be able to do it within some time. Okay, maybe I will use last 2 minutes to just give an announcement on the etcd release. So we are just cutting to new releases, or Benjamin cut the release last week. I'm still a little bit delayed because there are some other issues that are coming in just now. But what happened is that we found another 2 data inconsistency issues in using or one. It was reported. Second one, it was found with the new linear usability testing suite. So that's why I would want people maybe more focus on the important part of the issue, because we have still a lot of gaps in our testing to find the issues. But the good thing we are getting there, and we are fixing things. So we should be able to over time find the issues. We just discovered the new things. So expect the new announcement about the problem. And if you want to read more about this, I think the link is here, or the issue is here. And there is one, and there is a second one, I think. Somewhere. Okay, I will add the link. The second one is this one. Yeah, so that's all from me. We are just on time, so thanks everyone for attending, and hope to see you on the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you. See ya.
Bye.